everybody, welcome to another home workout recorded live at Rex's gym. Today is more of a strength session. There'll be some options to use some equipment if you have some equipment, but there are also options for zero equipment. Let's get started in our walks as per usual and take your time to kind of check in with your body. How is it feeling? Is there anything you should be spending a little bit more time on? Let's go into our quad walks. And these always feel a little bit tight. Must be those front to back lunges and switch jumps that we did yesterday. And cradle walks. Now today we're moving into a different workout, so we're doing different exercises we did not do on the previous Tuesdays. So today overall, probably not going to be overly taxing, but over the next couple of weeks, we want to build this up to something a little bit more challenging. Let's go into our hinges. Keep the hips nice and stable. Work on that balance, keep that stable foot. And our lunges. All right, our prep circuit is going to be Copenhagen side plank, 20 seconds each side, and then we're going to go into cook lifts for 8 each side. Now, a cook lift is a single leg hip bridge where you pull the other knee all the way to your chest. What that does is it just kind of makes sure you cannot use your lower back. It's a different form of a single leg glute bridge. You're just going to see how that feels for you. I have my trusted timer device here. Of course, a bench to put your feet on for the Copenhagen side planks. So the Copenhagen side planks, 20 seconds a side, 8 cook lifts each side. Do that for 2 rounds. After that, we'll go into our first superset, working superset for today. When you're ready, on those Copenhagens, remember, if you just have your foot on the bench, it's challenging. The closer you are, the more you have your whole lower leg on the bench, the easier it gets. So pick your option. Hips on top of each other, shoulders stacked, and from there, lift up, 20 seconds. Make sure you stay nice and straight. So if you're doing a regular side plank, shoulders stacked on top of each other, hips stacked on top of each other. And time. Switch to the other side. Three, two, one, and up. Five, 3, 2, 1, and down. Good. If that was really easy, you can always slide a little bit further away from the bench for the next round. Now that cook lift, you get to lie down, hug one knee to the chest, keep it nice and tight to the chest, and then we're going to drive the ground away with the other leg. I don't have to do this one fast. The goal is just to use that glute, hugging that knee towards your chest. Make sure you cannot use the lower back. And then we go back into our Copenhagens. If you're daring enough, you can stay a little bit further away from the bench. 3, 2, 1, and go. Halfway already. 3, 2, 1, and switch. 3, 2, 1, and go. Three, 2, 1, and down. All right, into our cook lifts. Find those glutes. All right, that's a little prep circuit. Now with the cook lifts, if you usually tend to feel the single leg glute bridges and glute bridges in your lower back, that's a great variation for you, because that lower back can really not help anymore, but it doesn't take away the ability to recruit the quad and the hamstring. So still be aware that you want to feel the glutes. Now, for our first superset, guys, we have 2 exercises that we have done variations of. The first is a touchdown. Now, a touchdown, let's see, turn this slightly. There you go. The touchdown is a variation of a step up, but you're gonna start on top of your step. Stairway is great for this, to start on the first step. And if you can then progress to a bench, then that's fantastic. I'm just using a stack of plates here because it's easy. 1 foot on the stack, hands forward. I'm gonna make sure that that foot on the stack stays nice and stable, so we don't wanna roll in and lose the arch. Reach our hips back, just touch the heel down, and with a very stable hip and knee, drive back to the top. Touch down, drive up. So I don't want any weight on that down foot. Good way to think about it, try to touch your heel down on an egg, a uncooked egg, and that egg has to stay in one piece. Yeah, so minimum pressure on that down leg. You want to really truly make this a single leg squat, where in a split squat and a step up you're still using the other leg. Now we are not going to. If that gets easier over the sets, feel free to add some plates or make it a little bit higher, or do progress to a bench or a chair or something like that, as long as you can just reach that heel to the ground. The second exercise is going to be a push-up, but in a close grip variety. Now, close grip, anything that is narrower than your regular grip width will count as close grip. All the reps are going to be 8 today. So where last week we did 15 with the feet elevated, the close grip only 8. So we should be able to find out what our target width is for that. So again, we can start, if this is your regular width, we can start just slightly in and then work our way in to see if we can get to a full diamond push-up, which will be the closest that we're going to go, or if you need to stay a little bit wider. But we do want that slightly narrower position while maintaining the full range of motion, of course. I want to make sure that that body stays nice and straight and we're not chicken necking our push-ups. So touchdowns, 8 each side, close grip push-ups for 8, a little bit of a rest, 4 rounds. Here we go. So nice and stable, stomach strong, reach the hips back, touch the heel down, come back up. Once you've done 8, switch to the other side. I was smart enough to set myself up right underneath this beam, so I'm just trying to do my best not to whack my head. Then we go into our push-ups, close grip. Now I'll go for diamond, but you try to find out what your ideal grip is, of course. All right, that's one round. See if I can move. I don't know if that's going to be better. So one thing to really pay attention to in those touchdowns is if we have that knee, we don't want that knee to wobble at all. The arch in the foot should remain. Your knee should be traveling towards the second toe from the outside. Yeah, that tripod foot that we talked about, ball of the heel, ball of the little toe, and ball of the big toe should all be in contact with the ground. We also don't want that knee to be way over to the outside and then lose that big toe. You should be able to grab the floor with your big toe. So let's have a quick look at this knee. It should stay fairly stable. And the other side. And our push-ups. So, hope you saw that your knee stayed nice and stable. If it didn't, just move to a lower step. Find a height you can do the exercise well. You'll be able to do the exercise on a higher height, But if that knee is flailing around, we're completely missing the point of what we're trying to achieve, which is stability through the hip and the ankle with the knee caught in between. Yeah, so keep that in mind. As always, let's leave our ego at the door. That diamond push-up that somebody's waking up. That diamond push-up that I did is a hard variety because the elbows are so far outside of your wrist. If you keep the elbows right above your wrist, so have a little bit wider grip, it makes it a lot easier. Now I'm going to add a little bit of height to my step here. And even 5 centimeters, approximately 5 centimeters, is going to make a big difference. So for our 4th round, remember there's 5 in total, I'm going a little bit higher, making sure my knee stays stable. Just the heel touches down. Again, nothing to be done fast. Just focus on doing it well. All right. Still pretty good. Close grip push-ups. Those are getting a little harder, but got 1 round to go. So close grip push-ups should be more in the triceps, and that single leg squat should still quad, glute, hamstring. That's the area you want to feel. 8 reps compared to what we did last week, which was 15. 8 reps is not going to get that deep burn, but you should still be able to feel which muscles you're using. Yeah, it's a matter of just paying attention to where you feel it. Now, as rests, just like last week, about a minute in between is what we're aiming for. If you need a little bit longer, that's fine, but try not to be on your phone or be distracted in between sets. Focus on what you do. Last round, let's show from the side, but you can't do that. So I just want you to know that I'm reaching my hips back. I'm not staying perfectly upright. I'm just letting the knee come forward. I'm shifting my hips back to touch. And last set of pushies. Excellent. All right. Next up, guys, our second superset Of course, you have a drink in between, absolutely fine. Now, we have an opportunity to use some equipment. Two options. Option one is to use a suspension trainer of some sort. So that's a way for us to put some rows and upper back work into our workout. If you're going for this one, the exercise will be Aussie pull-ups, which just means, let's see if I can make sure you see all of it. The full version is hanging directly underneath the suspension trainer, body nice and straight, pull yourself up, control back down, squeezing those shoulder blades together. Yeah, if you want to make it a little bit easier, do it with bent legs. If you want to make it easier than that, be in a diagonal. Diagonal doesn't really work here, simply because the support beams aren't that strong. Now, if you don't have a suspension trainer, but you have a band, we can do some banded rows. So anchor the band to something sturdy. A doorknob tends not to be a great option. I've had bad experiences. Step back. You can have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back for a bit of front to back stability. And again, we're going to squeeze our shoulder blades together, pull and reach, pull and reach. Now, if you do not have a suspension trainer and you do not have a band, I've got one more option for you, and that is a foot elevated hip bridge. So you can use that same step that you used for your step ups. I'll be using the bench here. 1 foot on top of the bench and 1 foot just up in general. And from there, we're gonna do our glute bridge. 8 one side, 8 the other side. This is actually a great diagnostic tool, this version, because if your glutes aren't willing to do the work, you tend to feel this in your hamstring a bit more. So it's a good way to check if you're using the right muscles. Good learning tool. So we have the Aussie pull-ups, band rows, or feet elevated glute bridge, all going to be for 8 or 8 each side. And then the second exercise is going to be a single leg. It's called an RDL, or Romanian Deadlift, but it's really just a single leg hinge. Now, if you're using the, trying to work around the suspension trainer now. If you're using a kettlebell, if our right leg is our stance leg, left arm is gonna hold the kettlebell, and then we're gonna perform that hinge that we do in the warm up, only with the hands down. Again, we're looking for a stable knee position, tripod foot, so we don't want that knee to be caving in. And once you hit that bottom position, you drive back up using your hamstring and glute. We're going to do 8 one side and 8 the other side. If you don't have a weight, you can still just do that single leg hinge. If you have the weight in one hand, I prefer you having the other hand next to it, just so you can see if any rotation is happening. If you can keep this fairly even, you have a better chance of keeping this even as well. The first compensation that happens is that the body opens up instead of staying nice and neutral. And we want neutral. We want the core to be working to keep you nice and neutral, while the the weight and your smaller base of support is working to pull you off kilter. So 8 of any of the rows are the single leg glute bridges, and 8 of the single leg hinges. We have 4 rounds. I'll do different, I'll start off using the suspension trainer for the first 2 rounds. 3rd round I'll do the bands, 4th round I'll do the single leg glute bridges, so you can have a basic idea of how all the options would look. Let's see if I can get it all in frame here. All right. Starting with our suspension trainer, Aussie pull-ups for 8 reps. Very basic, but a great exercise nonetheless. Then we'll go for our Romanian deadlift for 8 each side. And 8 on the other side. I'll show you from the side. Now, balance, of course, plays a big role in the Romanian deadlift. If you notice that you're falling over every rep, that's not what we want. Yeah. So in that case, you can go for a staggered position, which means that that leg doesn't go up, but stays very lightly down as you go through your hinge. Make sure you're not just rolling down, and we're not just sharing the load between the two. If that was very easy, just try to go up in load, but make sure we're not rotating or collapsing the knee. Round 2. The shoulder blades move first here, so actively squeeze them together before the arms start bending. So I'll give you a demo of that back foot being on the ground very lightly, but maintain that hinge. Hinge, not round. We're still trying to get that hamstring and that glute. That's 2 rounds. We only have 2 to go. So for the third round, I like to break a mental sweat too. I'm going to use the banded rows. All the rules stay the same. Full extension, Start the movement by pulling the shoulder blades back. Follow through with the elbows. Don't allow the elbows to go back so far that the shoulder rolls forward, but make that shoulder blade movement the key to the exercise. And back into our hinges. Now, if you don't have any weight, of course you can't use any weight, so we'll just go for the regular hinge with the hand reaching down. So pretend you're picking up something heavy. You can even pick it up with both hands. It's going to make it easier to stay in balance. Should still be able to feel which muscles you're working, and it should be the back of the leg and the hip muscles. Whoa. Now this next set, last set, I'm going to demonstrate the foot elevated glute bridge combined with the single leg hinge. So if that's the one you're going with, I'm with you this round. Now the combination between these two is going to be a lot of hip work, so I don't mind if you really feel this in the butt. Try not to get this in your hamstring too much. That one, fine in the hamstring. Alrighty. Yeah, that's always a fight for me to keep it out of my hammies. I can do it if I just really focus on it. All right, last round on our single leg hinges. Keep those hands nice and even, shoulders even, hips even. I don't think I mentioned this yet, so a little bit neglectful of me, but that stance leg should not be locked out. A little bit of a bend. Okie doke. That was 4 rounds, guys. So this week, just to kind of get to know the exercises, and over the next couple of weeks, we're going to ramp that up. Let's do some stretching, starting in our lower back stretch. So sit down, soles of the feet together, grab your feet, and pull your ribs and chest down. Then, feet nice and wide out to the side, our spread sit. Keep that torso fairly long, so we don't just want to collapse and roll forward. We need that on the lower back stretch. Here we want to stay nice and proud. Actively push your chest forward. If it helps you to put your hands behind you and prop yourself up, do that. We're going for a stretch throughout the inside of the legs, the abductors. And then on our feet, and we're gonna go into a classic standing quad stretch. Now hold on to something if you need the extra balance. We're trying to get a good stretch throughout the front of the leg here. One thing I often see going wrong here is the knee either comes forward or goes out. Try to keep the knees close together. Don't let the leg you're stretching come forward. And switch sides. Now we will be finishing off today with our breathing, getting back into our rest and digest state of being. Today we're going to do our breathing in the child pose. So I want you to kneel down, hands in front of you, reach your hips back onto your heels. And in this position, 10 deep breaths into the stomach. So stomach breathing, but because this is locked up, your stomach should be on your legs. You should be able to breathe more in the sides and the lower back. That's the idea here. So think of that 360 degrees of expansion while you breathe. But if you get less in the stomach, then that is perfect. More goes into the other two areas. That was 10 breaths for me. Take a moment to check in. How did that feel? How does that breathing in the child pose feel differently than breathing on your back, breathing in the croc position that we did yesterday? We'll just keep circling through positions to breathe through, so don't worry, you get back to this one. And this is absolutely one if you go like, oh, that feels really good. I'm going to do another 10 breaths, or I'm just going to do that breathing for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Absolutely fine. Pretty much what meditation is. Guys, I hope that felt good. First week of the new phase, so hope you enjoyed that. Have a fantastic day. If nobody's told you today yet, you are an absolute legend, just as anyone who supports this team. All right, guys, I'll talk to you tomorrow.